Welcome everyone. The FAA just announced that they are going to be making changes to the testing procedure in order to take an FAA written exam. So this has a lot of people talking, a lot of people confused. So I wanted to create a video to kind of explain basically what are the changes, how you can figure out the changes, how is this going to affect you. So let's go ahead and get started. So a little bit of background before we get into the details. The FAA is making changes to the process to take an FAA written exam. Now these changes are going to happen on January 13 of 2020. For airplane applicants, if you're flying an airplane, then this is going to basically apply to anyone, private pilot, instrument, commercial, ATP, whoever is going to get a certificate with the FAA, this is going to apply to them. For drones, this only is going to apply to Part 107. This does not apply to hobbyist pilots, okay? So what is changing? Well, the changes are only from a procedural standpoint. There is no changes at this point to the actual written exam, to the questions, to the content of the test. I wanted to get this out there because I know some people spread the false rumor that the test is changing. It's not changing, at least not at this moment in January of 2020. Now, there's three main changes that are happening. The first one is that applicants are going to need to have an FTN, a flight tracking number, before they apply for the written exam. Now, the FTN is not something that's new. We're going to talk about it. Chances are, if you've been watching this, if you already have a certificate, you already have an FTN. So I'll show you how you can figure this out. The second thing is that there is no more embossing of the FAA written exam. I'll show you again what that looks like. And the last one is that there's going to be new codes at the bottom of the written exam to show you what kind of question you missed. They're replacing the old codes, okay? So I just watched a webinar actually about this, and the FAA actually mentioned something that was kind of interesting. They didn't spend a whole lot of time talking about it, but they are, looks like, changes on the horizon to the test. Again, not as of January 2020. They're saying that the switch is being done to a new platform, and that new platform has new capabilities. Those new capabilities include having videos, for example. That's what they said. So maybe we will see videos in the future. I don't want to basically get a rumor out there, but this is something that came straight from the FAA. Also, they talked about scenario-based training questions. The FAA over the last decade has been pushing for scenario-based training for a lot of different things, including on the manned aviation side. So it'll be interesting to see if we get some questions based on scenario-based training. So let's get back to the changes. Why the changes is one of the questions that I've heard from people. Well, the main reason is to help streamline the application process with the FAA. They have this website called IACRA. IACRA. Now, you may be familiar with IACRA already if you have a certificate. This is where you submit your application to get your certificate, okay? Now, when you take the written exam, you have to put your name down. And then when you pass the written exam, then you have to transfer that data into IACRA. It's been a pain in the butt. I've been using IACRA actually pretty much since the day that it came out, when I was working for a flight school, and we always had issues matching names of students with the actual IACRA application. Now, this is supposed to be a one number kind of thing where you have a number associated with your account. Think about it like your social security number. There's only one for you, and that's it. You're going to use that number to identify yourself on the test, and then that test is going to match immediately into IACRA. So it should make things a lot easier for the FAA and for yourself, save a lot of nightmares. I know a lot of flight schools are probably loving this. The people that file the paperwork are probably loving this new functionality. So let's talk about the FTN number, or actually I should say FTN. The N stands for number. I have a bad habit of calling FTN number because that's what I've called it my whole life, okay? Now, in the changes, you're going to have to get this number, this FTN, before you apply, before you call the testing center to schedule your exam. They're going to write this down for your application, and then it's going to be associated with you, okay? That number is going to be used on your certificate. And if you see right here, not on your certificates, or on your test report, if you see a test report right here, right now there is an exam ID, and that circle right here, that's going to be replaced now with the FTN instead of the exam ID, all right? In here, what you see also is that you may already have an FTN number. If you are already a certificated pilot, a remote pilot, a private pilot, or anything higher, then you already have an FTN number. All you need to do is log in into IACRA. Hopefully you remember your credentials. And then on the top left corner of the window, you'll see FTN, like I'm showing you right here in the example, okay? If you are a student pilot looking to become a private pilot, because you have a student pilot certificate, you also have an FTN number because you had to get that through IACRA, all right? Now, this number is automatically created when you create your IACRA account. So this is pretty simple. If you are a new applicant, then you will need to create an IACRA account before you apply for your written exam. And I'm going to show you right now how you can actually create that IACRA account. So let's get into the computer and I'm going to show you exactly how you can do this. And this is actually pretty straightforward. The only thing that you have to do in here is basically go and find IACRA. It's iacra.faa.gov, and on the top right corner here, you'll see there's a register section. Now I'm going to click on it, but I'm not actually going to click on it. I'm just going to move to this tab because on this tab, this is a training site for IACRA. You wouldn't go to the training site, you would go to the regular one, but the process is exactly the same. You're going to click right here, register, and it's going to take you to this page. Very, very simple. What are you? You are an applicant. When you're an applicant right here, you click applicant, and this is it. You click on agree to the terms of service, and you continue. When you get right here, this is the part that gets confusing sometimes for people. If you have an airman certification number, let's say you had your private pilot years and years and years ago, and you never created an IACRA account, this is where you're going to put your airman certificate number. Drone pilots, if you're brand new to this and you're applying for the Part 107, then you do not put anything in here. If you're anybody else, you don't put anything in here unless you already have a certificate from the FAA. And then it's pretty straightforward. Just going to fill out your first name, middle name, last name. If you don't have any of these, then you click the boxes in here. Your date of birth, your sex, your email, and then your security question so that the FAA can help you recover your account if you forget your password. And then here you're going to create your username and your password. And this is it. Then you just click register. When you're done, you're going to have your login and your password. Again, I'm going right here into the training site. I already created one of those. And then you just accept the terms of service again, and boom, there you are. If you look right here on the top left, here's your FTN number, and then here's your username, and then your applicant. You're always going to be an applicant unless you work for a flight school or you do a bunch of other things. All right, this is it. This is really the only part where you need to get an FTN number. Again, only if you did not create an account before, if you don't have a certificate already with the FAA. Okay, the second change from the FAA is that there is no more emboss on your written exam. If you look at your written exam right here is a copy of one, and you can see there's an emboss. They have a stamp that they can use to emboss the paper. That's no longer happening. That's it. That's really the only change at this stage. And the last change is that the codes at the bottom for the questions that you failed, that you missed, are going to be different. At the moment, they're using a PLT number. You have to go through a PDF and then find what the PLT number refers to. This will help you figure out what questions you missed, what topics you missed. If you are a manned aircraft pilot, I say this to all my private pilot applicants, look at these numbers because the check pilot, when they get your written exam, they're going to look at that PLT number and they're going to figure out where you are weak and they're going to ask you questions about this. If you're doing Part 107, there's no test with a check airman, so you don't have to really worry about this. This is just an area where you may need a bit more training. By our course, you'll get all the training you need. In terms of the new number is going to be an ACS number. The ACS is the Airman Certification Standard. This is what the FAA uses to make sure that they have a standard to issue your license. If you meet all the standards, then you become a remote pilot, a private pilot, a commercial pilot, an instrument-rated pilot. Whatever it is, they're all based on the ACS. So if your certificate has an ACS, not all of them have them just yet, but then you will have a code that's going to look like this. And then, for example, this is the UAS Part 107 ACS, Airman Certification Standard. And you can see UA is the code for unmanned aircraft. 1 is Area 1, which is regulation. And then you have task. Task A is general. And then here you have K1, meaning knowledge 1. This is the first thing that you're going to be checked on. If you see that code at the bottom of your test, you can go back to the ACS and basically find out exactly what you missed in the ACS, all right? For private pilot applicants and any other manned aircraft pilot, this is going to be great because you'll be able to just pull the ACS and know exactly what you need to focus on. I never liked the PLT numbers. I never thought they gave really good feedback. So this is a good way right here. You know that the check pilot is going to pull that ACS before they go for the check ride and then ask you questions on those weak areas. Okay? A bunch of Q&As, and I've mentioned this already, but I'm going to say it again. How do I find if I have an FTN number? If you have an IACR account, you have an FTN number, just go ahead and log in, look in the top left corner, and then you'll see your FTN number. Another question that I've seen, should I take the exam now because of the changes? No, don't worry about it. The changes are only procedural. The test is exactly the same. No changes to the test. No need to rush and spend the money right now during the holidays, whatever it is. And just don't do it, okay? You don't have to rush and do the test. This is it. Any questions that you have, please leave them at the bottom and I'll be happy to answer them. And then in the meantime, happy flying and I'll see you for the next video.